Well, is it?
Whoop whoop.
It is.
Record.
Don't say fuck or bugger.
So, Mr. Jones, why did you pick this film?
So 2 reasons really, and the
This is a film club.
thank you, Pat.
That's so weird. Oh, Mr. Jones.
Watch the movie, and that's the level of acting this had.
Why did you pick
The Jones.
this film?
No, but when, as soon as we said we were going to do a bad movie round, I wanted to pick it. Firstly, because I don't think you should have a bad movie round without a George Lucas film. And then secondly, I just think it deserves another chance, really. Like when I was watching it, I was kind of scoring it afterwards, and I was like, I feel like I'm going to be accused of overrating this, but I really don't feel like it's that bad. And like whenever you see people talk about it online, they're always like, oh, George Lucas has a lot to answer for, and he does have a lot to answer for, but I don't think it's about this film. I think it's actually okay.
Shit. I just realised I've got this pointer, so I'm just going to turn it so I don't get. Oh, fuck. That's okay. I'll do this.
You trying to get a sponsorship from Stella Artois?
I'll be okay with it. Oh, no. It's upside down.
Sponsored by Bud Light.
Oh God, Bud Light.
We've already got advertisers competing for us. What a success!
But we're not doing what Ronaldo did and just remove everything.
Yeah. Did you know he cost them $4 billion?
I'll have a lovely, delicious sip
Yogurt.
of what Alec thinks is a yogurt.
It kind of is a yogurt. There's a lot of culture in it.
Anyway, I'm on the opposite side. I'm
Ironbury.
Inbrew.
I mean, I could get another sponsorship.
Actually, I mean, while we're at it, I've also got some M&Ms if they want to get in touch.
Oh, wait a minute.
And I've got a Nintendo
still-
And
DS.
I've got a monster. They can definitely sponsor us.
Madness.
I think you just said madness.
Yeah.
This is madness.
Madness. Irish cider.
See, got this movie done.
But yeah, no, that's basically the crux of it. Is I think, like, given that sort of everyone has such an extreme reaction over it, and it's spoken about as if it's like this crime against cinema, I don't think it's that. Like, I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I think it's okay, and I have a lot of fun watching it. So yeah, that's why I picked it. Really.
Yeah.
Go on, Go
Why
on.
do they- when you say a crime against cinema, but I don't really see the problem.
Well, that's my thing. Like, it's the lowest rated movie of this round so far. It only got like 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. And like, if you have a look on like Reddit or anything like that, it's like I said, everyone's like, oh, George Lucas has a lot to answer for. Like, this is a steaming pile of shit. And it's like, it is a bit messy. Like, I'll give it that. And like I said, the jokes don't really land either. But yeah, I don't think it's worse than a lot of superhero movies that have come since it.
I wouldn't even say that. Like, if you look at the quality of 80s films, like the non kind of the ones that didn't really make it as like classics, they're just all shit, and they're all the same kind of format. And it's just like, I can tell you a lot of worse films than that, like Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Zing.
And the thing is, as well, for me, is like, I don't know, like George Lucas just has, I don't know, he has like some kind of ability to just like snake charm me. And like when I was watching the film, I was kind of like, there was like a logical part of my brain going like, this doesn't make sense, this is a bit bonkers. But there was another part of my brain going like, it's all right, we're having fun. And I can't really do that with any other filmmaker. It's only really George Lucas who gets me like it. Like, it's exactly the same thing as the Star Wars prequels.
Oh, I was going to mention them.
Oh, see, but like my thing there is that with the Star Wars prequels, while they're not amazing movies, and they're nothing on the original trilogy, I don't think they're anywhere near as bad as people make out. Like, there's plenty of problems with it, sure, but I don't think they're that bad. Whereas with this, I'm just like, I didn't really have any fun at all. I was just watching it going, okay, cool, you carry on, mate.
Oh man, that really surprises me. Like, I even appreciate it down to the first half of it is a duck out of water, and then the second half is a duck hunt. Like, I don't know. I just, yeah, I like the meta pun. I think it's cool.
The thing is, I I think it's really fitting that this was like the first, like technically the first Marvel movie, because I think there's actually like a bit of a blueprint of what a Marvel film is in this, and it's like whether you like it or not, like Howard the Duck goes on like a proper like character arc throughout, and like I don't know, like objectively speaking, there's like a lot of things that don't make sense, and there's like just logical inconsistencies, but like he comes out of it like he starts being kind of like a bit of a self-centered sort of spiky, angry, cynical bachelor, and he ends as like like actually kind of like a self-sacrificial sort of hero type person who's putting other people's needs above his. And I think like, yeah, that's quite fitting actually, because if Marvel can do anything, it's a protagonist.
A shame.
Sorry. Oh, you?
Oh, another one.
I stopped to let John talk, and then he just swiveled.
Oh, I mean, I said what I was saying.
Yeah, the thing that really got me, where I was a bit like, oh, this is a bit weird, is the whole kind of romance part of it, because he's like this weird kind of alien duck thing, and I'm like, yeah, it was a bit weird.
Yeah, I think that's where the film does kind of fall down a little bit. Like, I think if I was to criticize it on anything, it would be that the way that people react to Howard is not at all consistent. Like, some people are terrified of him, like some people are amazed by him, and other people are just like, oh, that's a weird suit. And it's like it's just, yeah, it doesn't really make any sense from one person to the next. And then you've got one person who's fallen in love with him. It's like,
Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel like the moment in the, I don't know what vehicle it was, but in the vehicle when they were on the way back to the laser to potentially take him home, when like him and Beverly are having that moment of like, oh, I'm gonna miss you. Like, I feel like that would have had much stronger impact if it was just that they'd gotten close as friends and they hadn't had that weird romantic moment. Because, and
Like-
it's an old movie, and even movies these days make the mistake a lot. But I feel like people are overly concerned with making romantic connections between characters to make it seem like they're important to each other, when you can do that just as well with good character development of them just like being friends or going through things together. Like, just because they're the opposite gender doesn't mean they have to fall in love.
yeah, and that's the thing, because like I really like the bits where sort of Howard first goes back to her apartment and he finds the duck purse, and she's just sort of like stumbling over herself, being like, oh, I've never had a pet before, and then like that whole thing. I really like that. But yeah, like they could have just kept that kind of that going with a friendship, and it would have made a lot more sense in general, I think. But yeah, I just think like if they'd have, I mean, the only real sin I think is like I said, is that the way that people react to him isn't at all sort of consistent, because you've got some people who are like screaming at him, some people like want to sort of tear him apart for science, and then you've got other people who are going to like give him a job and just call him the creepy fella. Like, it's like, what?
Yeah, his job was in the sauna was just a bit weird.
To be fair, like I don't really think that's that bad, because I feel like that's exactly what it would be like. Like, everyone would have a different reaction to him. Some people would think that it's some sort of monster. Some people would be fascinated by it. Other people would think it's just someone being a fucking idiot, or like some sort of stunt going on. So like the job part of it is the only bit that like you kind of have to suspend your disbelief for, because it's like, even if you're thinking it's someone being an idiot, if you were at a job center or something, they'd just be like, go fucking change.
yeah. But even like when he first meets Beverly, and like you've got that like one of my favorite lines in it is that guy is like, when they first see him, and one of them's like, are you seeing what I'm seeing, a talking duck? And the other one's like, I've been doing too much toot.
I love that.
But yeah, even that scene, like, that all happens, and then instantly Beverly's like, right, you're in Cleveland, do you want to come home with me? And it's like, no, it's an alien, it's a talking duck, man.
I don't think it's as simple as that, because like he does like save her life and stuff, and like he is like clearly he is like just jumped out of a bin and he doesn't have anywhere else to go, and she's like, oh fucking hell, he's like 3 foot tall, like that's crap, and it's raining and everything. And I think that would have been a nice little moment of like, I think that would have read a lot better if they didn't then go, let's have a love song. And I was like, no, don't do that.
It's like,
Yeah.
that bit. I don't see a problem with her being like, "Hey, come back to mine," because, like Alex said, like he saves her life, and then he's clearly like disorientated, has nowhere to go, and he looks miserable. So she's like, "Yeah, let's go." But I hate the song, not just because it's a love song. I hate the fucking lyrics. They're so on the fucking nose. Two people, we had so much to get. It's like, no, fuck off. Like, I don't
Yeah.
need you narrating what I should be thinking. Like, you're supposed to make me feel this through like the acting and the story, not just telling me.
I don't
You
know why
beat
they
some
did
two
that.
guys up with a bin lid, and now you're sleeping in the rain. And I feel like you should come to my house, even though you're a duck and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why they put that song in, because like every other bit of music was either part of the score or it was a Cherry Bomb song. So I don't know why they just put a random one that wasn't either.
She then sings that song, so it is a Cherry Bomb song, but they just randomly put it first beforehand, sung by
Yeah.
someone else as well, not her.
Unless maybe it was just like a bad attempt of being like, she's having inspiration.
then she was playing it on the stage, and then she was like, "This is way too depressing." And I was like, "No, it's just weird and oddly placed in the
It's just
moment
bad.
you wanted it to be in."
But I must admit though, I think that's probably the one joke that lands, is when she's like, "Do you have anywhere to be?" And he's like, "Oh, if I had somewhere to be, I wouldn't be in Cleveland." That's the only one where I went, "That's quite funny."
It doesn't make sense though, does it?
It's been
Ah,
a
it
running
does.
joke in America for like 30 years, isn't it?
I mean, wait, when does he say that?
It's just after he says to her, "Where am I?" and she says Cleveland, and then he thinks Cleveland's the planet, and then that whole bit plays out, and then she's walking off, and then she feels guilty, and she turns back and she says, "Do you have anywhere to be?" And then he says, "If I had somewhere to be, I wouldn't be in Cleveland," and then that's when he goes home with her.
Okay, just making sure, because yeah, that doesn't make sense then, because he's literally just been told that it's Cleveland now. He doesn't fucking know anything about it.
Oh yeah, that's part of the joke, though, isn't
I like the idea that he's like, "I'd rather be in Detroit."
He wants to see RoboCop.
Oh dear. But yeah, no, I think like I was saying, like it is a really like messy narrative, but I think just I don't know, I have so much fun just like hanging out with Howard.
Yeah, I think that's again. I think it's kind of the whole coming back to the Marvel charisma thing, where you're just I wasn't laughing at any point, like even on like a bad movie level, but I was just kind of going like, okay, like this is cool, and I was just pootling along, and I wasn't really noticing the passing of time. Like, that's an
Yeah.
undersell. But like I do just enjoy Howard's character. I think like that is exactly how I'd react in like another like universe. I'd just be like, oh fuck's sake. Now I'm in a jacuzzi. Like
But that is most of it for me, because it's like I was saying earlier, there's a bit of my brain that's going, this is stupid and it doesn't make sense. But there's another part of my brain that just it keeps kind of like butting in and going, but I really like this. Like it's I'm really enjoying myself.
I'm sad that my brain couldn't do that with this, because I wanted to like it. But like I had the exact opposite experience of what Alec was just saying. I was the whole way through, I was like, I mean, you're not a very likable character at all, are you?
Oh,
I was also like looking at the time, being like, "Oh God, there's an hour left. Fuck me."
I think that's kind of why I like that it ramped up, because like the first kind of like third is sort of duck out of water, and then it kind of comes in and it's like, oh, we can actually get you back, and it's like, oh, cool, and now there's like cosmic horrors from beyond time and space, and they've like invaded a nonce, and now we're just doing like a big chasey thing, and then there's going to be a big fucking it just kind of ramps like completely up, and it doesn't spend. I think if the whole film was any one of those for 2 hours, it would be crap, but I think like there's enough kind of variety going on in like kind of a way that I felt was sort of organic. Like I feel like I'm being like a bit cold on it, but like I'm like, I think I was like, okay, so what do I do rank for story? And I was like, am I crazy or was that actually all right? Well, I couldn't hear you over Rob's laughing, John, but I'm not crazy.
Also, like as bad as some of the acting was, the worst acting for me was definitely the fucking Dark Overlord, because why you would think that doing this makes you into an evil person.
Oh,
Hey. I
come
think the
on.
worst acting should go to Tim Robbins.
yeah, Tim Robbins is surprisingly bad for Tim Robbins.
It's still Tim Robbins.
You
Is
can
that the lab assistant bloke?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Oh.
stopped this and Ed went, "Who is he?" And I went, "That's Andy Dufresne from The Shawshank Redemption." And she was like, "What?"
I recognised him.
he was
I'm
in
just like, please go away. Just go
What?
away, please.
all of his acting was terrible as well. As particular, like he was bad the whole way through, but particularly on the plane where he gets back up and he's like, "I know we're being chased by the police, and this was entirely not your fault, but I'm gonna strangle you." Oh,
Actually,
acting mad was fucking awful. It was cringy.
that's reminded me of another line that I thought was actually quite a good joke. Is when they're on the plane and Howard's like, "On my planet, we've got a saying, and that's if God wanted us to fly, he wouldn't have taken away our wings." Oh dear.
You notice that no one else laughed there.
Oh,
I smiled.
Yeah, but Rob already told us that joke earlier, so we already laughed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
another one I think works actually is later on in the cafeteria when cafeteria is probably not the wrong word, it's probably a diner in it, but yeah, later on in the diner when they're all sort of taking Howard off and he's like, "They're seasoning me," that made me laugh as well.
That whole diner scene was so fucking stupid. Like, one of my least favorite parts, which is very nitpicky, but I don't care, was that the waitress comes over and is like, "That duck's a child." I've clearly registered that it's a child. I've said it out loud. We all know this. It just asked for a beer, and I didn't react at all.
Oh yeah.
I love that when she's talking to the police and she's like, "And then I thought Halloween's not till next month," and I'm like, "You did also serve it a beer."
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
This is the thing. As much as I'll pick at that, she didn't actually serve the beer, so you could argue that she just ignored it. But I just thought it was really weird. And then one of the only parts I actually laughed at, but that's because it was so bad, is that this guy's been going on these monologues about being the Dark Overlord and that he'll destroy the entire world and that he no longer needs human foods for sustenance. And then Beverly says something to him and he's like, "She took my eggs."
That was a great fucking line.
Villains
thought
are
it was
petty,
great,
John. Villains are petty.
It's fine because he's literally told you that he doesn't need food and that he doesn't care about anything apart from destroying the entire world and getting rid of humans. And then, just for the sake of comedy, he says a really dumb line. I laughed at it, but because it was bad.
I mean, if you're going to destroy humanity, you got to start with the food source, and if you got to start the food source with 3 fried eggs, then hey, I'm not a Dark Overlord, but I feel like he knows what he's doing.
Do you know, there's only a couple of bits that I laugh at because they're so bad, and like one of them is the bit that you said about the waitress realizing that it's not Halloween, and then the other bit was when they're in the diner and they're all sort of carrying Howard off, and then Beverly comes behind the mob and she's like, "He's my boyfriend," and then they all look around like, "What the fuck?" And then she just storms off.
The dude who instigated it all was just like, "That's disgusting," and then they go back to seasoning him.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And she's just storming off going, "You make me ashamed to be human." And it's like, they're seasoning your boyfriend.
Hang on, she's not storming off. She's trying to get around to like actually do something because they're a mob of people. She can't get through them.
It's just the way she does it though, because she kind of like turns like 180 and then she's like storming away with her hands doing that. It's so funny.
The little storm offs are fucking hilarious. She's like, "Well, fine, Ducky. If you don't need me, I don't need you."
Clear, she was cast for one reason, and we know what that was.
Do you know, I feel
But
so
she'd
bad for
fuck
her.
a duck. Oh.
I feel so bad for her because apparently when she was cast, she was of the mindset that because she was working with George Lucas, she was effectively going to be the next Princess Leia.
Princess Leia also had to wear that slave suit, so
Oh man.
Great.
Ben's just dreaming there. He's just got the little. I can just see your little thought bubble there, and you're like, "Lucky Jabba."
Oh dear.
even the bit in the diner where this guy doesn't give a shit about any of them. The only thing he wants is that key, which first of all, why did he wait so long to take it back?
Yeah.
And second of all, they literally just quote unquote trick him into helping. It's like, oh, see, look, they're laughing at you. Oh, you're the Dark Overlord, and they're not taking you seriously. And then it's like,
Well, that's that's okay. He's a very sort of emotionally insecure demon from the Dark Over dimension. I just like just release the waterfowl. And I was like, oh, just fucking adorable.
And going to what I was saying earlier, them breaking their own rules. He literally goes, we can't exist in this world without growing in humans first. And then he starts summoning them down, and they're already there, fully formed. And I was like, cool, yeah, just don't worry about what you said before.
Yeah, you kind of needed Howard the Duck to be like, I don't need to get rid of the laser. They're going to burn up on it on entry. It's fine.
But yeah, the bit where he sticks his tongue in the charger for the car was fucking disgusting.
I thought that was a really cool effect though. Like that, like for the time, that's like a weird like prosthetic dummy thing that's been made to look like a nonce, but like with a
Oh yeah, the dummy head is a bit weird.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's brilliant, but I think it was like a decent effect.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it's that's one of the things that they had to cut out for it to get a PG cinema release.
Really?
Yeah, I suppose it makes sense though, didn't it? Because you don't want kids seeing somebody sticking their tongue into a lighter socket.
That's the problem.
Come out of the thing.
It's fine that this woman's potentially going to fuck a duck, but don't stick your tongue in the lighter.
Oh, so this is the thing I don't get. So the things that they cut out for it to get a PG release was the tongue in the lighter socket and the condom, but they left the duck boobs in.
Yeah. It's twice. It's not just once, it's twice. It's in the book. It's in the play duck, and then he's
well, Donald Duck doesn't wear any trousers, so
yeah, but he's still got his nipples covered.
I'll be adhering to that one.
I think that's another reason why it gets remembered quite badly, though, is that there's some like weird misconception that it's a kids' film, and it's like literally like 30 seconds in, you're seeing duck boobs. Like it's obviously not intended for kids.
Anyone would see this.
Yeah, I sort of think I think possibly it came out sort of at a time where people just went, oh, it's a comic book film, it's for kids. And maybe that's why it's been so like badly remembered.
Well, I don't know. I feel like people would have gone, "Oh, it's a Donald Duck movie, but not Donald Duck," and then gone like, "What the fuck is any of this?" So, like, I think possibly, like, I'd like to see them try and do a Howard the Duck film now, but like, I do think Howard the Duck was possibly a bit of a big ask to start with. Maybe don't do something so mental.
I think the problem with it is, like, I don't know, because I'm not good at remembering what films came out when, but I feel like at that point in time, there wasn't really any non-kid animal characters. So, like all the Disney stuff, obviously, but I don't know if there was any, like, early movies that starred animals or like, anthropomorphic type characters. But I feel like most, if not all of them, probably would have been aimed at children. So, like, I get why at the time of its release, people might have been like, "Oh, well, this is obviously a kids' movie." But if anyone says that after watching it, then they're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because even if you look at like comic book movies, so it came out 3 years earlier than Tim Burton's Batman, and then that's what people always say is like the first kind of like adult comic book movie. But yeah, this was 3 years before that.
And better.
I have about as much fun with both of them, if I'm honest.
I think there's a reason why people remember one and not the other.
That's the thing, though. Like, it is a bit unfair because everyone sort of says that sort of like Tim Burton's Batman paved the way for sort of adult comic book movies and that kind of thing. But I don't think it really did anything that Howard the Duck didn't. It's just that Howard the Duck flopped and Batman didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, one had penguins with breastplates on. So
Returns, not Batman.
I don't give a fuck.
And the one with the let's get nuts scene, which is quite fun. Want to see? Want to get nuts?
I didn't get that.
No? I don't remember that bit. In that now.
No, I just didn't hear what you said.
Oh,
There's too much beard.
too much beer. Yeah.
Good.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Nice.
Hey. Production. I think production was very, very good.
I'm really surprised that you didn't think anything of the production, John.
I mean, like, I'm probably being unfair on it because like there's certain parts of it that probably were like really good for the time, but just the only thing I can focus on is all the stuff to do with the Dark Overlord because it just looked so pathetically awful and couldn't get over it.
Even that though, I think it all looks pretty good. Like, what do you think looks awful?
Just everything about it, like the effects they use, while they might not be bad for the time, the effects combined with the acting that's going on just look incredibly just camp and like
Oh,
bad.
the whole film's camp.
Humphrey, that's not the line to start stripping to.
Yeah.
The whole film's camp.
Like the laser eye thing was really dumb. Like, why is it coming out sideways? Him getting an aura around himself and then going blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just really fucking dumb.
I thought it all looked quite good. Yeah, I thought like all of the prosthetics were really good, and yeah, I didn't really. The only problem that I had with the production, I'd say, is the scene where the police officers are trying to undress Howard, and it's quite clear that they're holding the puppet up. That was the only scene where I went, "Oh, you could have done that a bit better."
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I thought the production was really good.
The only part of the production I can think of that I didn't think looked awful was the scene we talked about earlier with the tongue coming out. Like, I thought that was pretty good. And one particular like move that the Dark Overlord does that was kind of like it kind of
Good open.
it kind of looked like a shockwave. Like I thought that one looked alright, but the rest of it I just thought looked really bad.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say I reckon that the Dark Overlord is probably the best stop motion I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think the stop motion on the Dark Overlord is like apex level and would possibly rival like some modern CGI that I've seen. Like I think the alien looks fucking great.
Yeah,
It's
I mean
just-
there's a
Oh.
couple of problems. Like it is still a little bit jittery at points, but yeah, I mean compared to pretty much every other bit of stop motion I've ever seen, it's probably the smoothest and the most authentic looking, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
I want to know why it looked like a hippo.
I would never have said it looked like a hippo.
It does. Look at it now.
I'm gonna have to Google this.
When I saw it, I'm like, why is
You
this-
got there, but I can't agree. I think it looks like a big fucking bug.
I think we're back to
look
wondering
at-
if Dan watched the movie or not.
Turns
I tell you what,
out I watched Zootopia.
I'm gonna give you a piece of information now, Rob.
Hmm?
I didn't notice that it was stop motion, so I'm gonna up my production score to 3.
Hey,
You're welcome.
we're slowly getting there. I even think Howard himself is really well done. Like part of the reason that I gave it 6 for acting, because to be honest, the acting isn't very good, but I gave it some credit on acting as well, just because whoever was controlling his face did a really good job of making him look like he was actually sort of feeling some kind of emotion.
Yeah, I thought it was quite expressive considering he couldn't move anything
Yeah,
below here. Like the bit where he gets like a PTSD, like fucking flashback, he looked noticeably like different. It wasn't just a static like mask. I thought that was cool. Also, I think like just the level of sort of like duck stuff they like try and like weave into it. Well, I say weave, but like considering how much production went into Duck World, considering it is like less than 5 minutes of the movie, and it's sort of you know just all these kind of like duck-based adverts, duck people in this apartment. She opens his wallet, and there's like all these pictures of him with like other duck people. He's got a card for blooming ducks. He takes out a dollar note, like it's got George Washington hilariously with a fucking duck bill Photoshop. I was like Photoshopped, but like manipulated onto his face. Like I think like just the level of commitment they went, we need to have like his wallet having some duck related shit. I thought that was all really cool. Also, I think something I pointed out in the early adopters chat, the fact that whenever they're doing like a car chase, whenever they come out, you'll always see like Howard, and it's sort of like it's really nice because it makes him look like it makes him just feel like a physical being. Like he is always present in these shots. It's not just sort of like a vehicle put in front of a projector to create the illusion of movement, but like you always see him in these like vehicles and stuff, and I think that's a really nice little touch.
Would it be a puppet in the shot, or would it be actually the actor?
Well, I think Ben said there's like a shot where he's like got his hands over his eyes.
Or maybe.
And it's like that. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, that'd be when they were crashing the plane.
Yeah, I think because I think what they did is there were certain scenes where there was a kid in kind of like a suit, and I think that's mostly the scenes where Howard's walking, and then there was other scenes where you basically had the puppet of Howard, and there was somebody like sort of behind the scene, if that makes sense. So like they would have had their arms through the suit rather than being in the suit themselves.
A controlled animatronic kind of puppet.
Yeah, I really think like the way that they pulled off his face is amazing. Like it's like well, considering a few things really, considering it was 1986 and like that would have been a fairly new approach to something. I think they did really well, but just generally like considering that you've got to work with a duck bill, yeah, I think they did a really good job of making him look like he was actually sort of feeling things.
The only thing I found was his hands. They looked like gloves. And that kind of put me off a bit because they just look like really dirty gloves.
Your hands look like gloves.
Yeah, but I will say something to its credit is what Alec was just talking about, like the scene where she goes through his wallet. I feel like it would be much less believable for her to like believe in him without that. Because like, okay, sure, he saved her life and like they've been talking and whatever, but I feel like even back then it probably would be pretty normal for people just to assume someone's playing a trick on them or there's some nonsense going on. And like, fair enough, that could also be part of it, but I feel like it just adds a bit of weight to her being like, okay, like even just the condom, like although it's there for the joke, it's like it makes him feel quote unquote human.
Yeah.
Weird that it's just like, was that a thing? Like, did they used to not have covers? Because that's fucking weird.
Duck World.
I don't know if you want to mention about the Matrix thing.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that I gave Impact quite a decent score is that there's kind of two things in one in here. So you know the scene where it's the scene where you see the duck boobs actually, where Howard's kind of like flying through the walls. So they did that by basically getting a puppet and essentially like pulling him through all these different sets. And so the way that they would have done that traditionally is that they would have taken Vaseline and they just would have like rubbed it on the film to get rid of the wires or to like conceal them kind of thing. But George Lucas wasn't happy with the way it looked because like the scene was going so fast. He thought that, you know, there was like a visible blur on the screen. So he just wasn't happy with it. So he got a bunch of computer nerds together to try it digitally. And that's the team that became Pixar. And then also that technique is what The Matrix used 13 years later.
Nice.
We'll just bask in that. Thank you, Howard.
Everybody is shocked.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty good. And that's another thing, like what I was saying earlier, is that everyone remembers it as being a shit film and they're all like, you know, like this film has a lot to answer for, like what a load of dog shit and that kind of thing. But the fact that it came up with a technique that a film like The Matrix needed 13 years later, I think that's incredible.
but it looks really good. Like when it's actually, you wouldn't have believed it was like, if you just watch that one scene right where it goes through, you wouldn't have believed it was 1986 when they made it.
Mm,
You could still get away with it today. Actually,
Yeah.
worse films.
John's
that-
making a fist.
I think there's a lot in it, sort of production wise, and it's one of the things that George Lucas is really good at. Is I think like his style is like kind of timeless, just because. Well, I mean, I don't know. He was just such a perfectionist, wasn't he? So you look at a lot of films that he made in kind of like the 70s and 80s, like you'd never guess that it was made in that time frame, as sort of, you know, if you compare it to the other films that are around then. Like if you could, even if you compare this to RoboCop, like I think a lot of how it looks is a lot more believable than RoboCop.
I'd agree with that. Oh, stop it, John.
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Stop it. No, I think that's a lot of I think a lot of the bad press comes from sort of like not necessarily like people not necessarily even understanding like what it is.
Mhm.
I think people like mistake it for, well, I think people mistook it at the time for like a kid's film, and then it's like, what the fuck? I'm an adult. I don't want to watch a film about a fucking duck. But like, that's kind of I put my hands up and say like I've never actually like read a Howard the Duck comic, but just from like the covers, like it all seems to be kind of like a bit plugging into like the inherent ridiculousness of having like a Donald Duck-esque kind of character like going on adventures that like Thor or something would go on. Like there's always like a damsel with like her tits out, and Howard's got like a big fucking broadsword, and he's like, and like it. I think that's all sort of kind of part and parcel kind of it, and it's, I think it holds up. I do think it holds up like a lot better today, especially like in the context of it being the first Marvel film, and like, yeah, I don't think it's any more. It's got some like writing inconsistencies, but I wouldn't say it's got any more than any other like modern like film really.
Yeah, I think it's like I said. I think that the biggest thing about it is just that it's quite messy. Like, you know, the whole bit where Howard goes and gets a job and all of that stuff. Like, I feel like you could quite easily cut that out, and it wouldn't have any real impact on the rest of the film. I think it's kind of the same problem as Spider-Man 3 is. I think they tried to do a little bit too much for one film. But
you wouldn't get the shot where he chucks the bloke in the shit pit.
Also, apparently, the thing with the erect feathers, that was actually apparently really fucking hard to do. that took like hours and like to like just engineer to get like the feathers to actually like sort of go up like independently and stuff like. And I think like the amount of like commitment they put into just for that joke, and it's sort of like, yeah, they gave a fuck about making it. Like,
even though it shouldn't have really been in the film.
it was very uncomfortable, but
Why?
yeah.
I felt a little something.
Like, this is Marty's mum. Why are you doing this?
I'll be
Why
back in a second. Carry on.
Have you not seen when he goes back to the past? His mum's hot.
Yep. No arguing that.
It was terrible.
I really don't think it was like a fucking train wreck.
I don't think it was a train wreck. Like, like not being like not exaggerating or anything. Realistically, like there's plenty to like about it. I can see why people would like it. I just thought it was all really bad. Like, I can, like, for example, like there's other films we've watched where I'm just like, no, I don't see what the redeeming qualities are here. I don't know why anyone would like this shit. Whereas this, I can see what they are. I just don't agree with it.
Yeah, hey, you know, as long as it's sort of there, like you can kind of
appreciate
feel what you want about it. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think like I don't know, just like Rob saying, like the amount of like stuff that went into the production. I think like I don't know. It's one of those unsung heroes where like it sort of like revolutionized a lot of things. Not unlike the prequels, because the prequels kind of opened up a lot of stuff about like how CGI works and what you can do with it and what you really can't do with it. And like considering how much of it went into it, like this film, like it Howard and the prequels, don't know. They all had like a massive effect on the industry, and yeah, I don't think it should be ignored just because Tim Robbins is doing a really bad job.
He wasn't.
Hmm?
He wasn't the only one.
No.
In fact, I think it'd be easier to talk about who did a good job.
Howard the Duck himself.
I think Howard the Duck did a good job, and I don't support nonsense, but I think he's a good actor.
No.
You did.
I hired him specifically because he could do that voice.
Oh, really?
It's not a good voice. It's a
I
really
think it's a really good voice. I like it.
shit voice, and he pulls a really dumb face the entire time he's doing it.
It's shit when Humphrey does it because it just sounds like his normal voice. But I think he's doing a really good voice.
Man, it must be nice to get hired for being able to do a really shit thing.
Well, I mean, he also got fired for doing a really shit thing. So, like, you know.
Yeah, so it all equals out.
If you want to be hired for a job for doing a really shit thing, just become a politician.
Whoa! Fucking hell, Ben. You laugh like a dark overlord. Ben, have you got things to say? You got thoughts?
Good.
Oh,
What I want to know is why Emmanuel hated it so much when he picked one of the worst films.
I don't get when you guys do that. Like, you can just because you think something else is worse than the other doesn't mean that
No,
someone else can't disagree.
Yeah, but you can't say that the production of Shark Boy and Lava Girl was better than Howard the Duck.
I mean, some people can. Like, I'm sure some people would say that, and they'd believe it.
some people can, and some people can believe it, but like I think it's an objective fact that the production of Howard the Duck is better than Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and Shark Boy and Lava is probably actually like the worst CGI technical effect production ever committed to film.
As I said,
You can like it, you can think it's better, but it isn't.
it reminded me of the toy adverts in the 90s or in the early 2000s where they were just so fucking awful. It was like that for an hour and 40 minutes or hour and a half. I was just like, this is just really awful.
The production on Sharknado was better.
Oh, Sharknado is good. I like Sharknado.
So it's a shit film, but the production's better.
No, but the thing is, because it was so shit, it made it good. That makes sense. It was like, I don't know. It's one of these weird things where you watch it and it's like, this is so ridiculous. But then you quite enjoyed it. And then when they made this, I watched the second one, and they just kept making jokes about the film, and I'm just like, stop doing this. This is stupid.
Why the fuck are we talking about Sharknado?
I don't know, Pat. Why was it Sharknado?
And you should pick it.
Because we were comparing shitty production.
Well, at least the sharks
The
in
sharks.
Sharknado look like sharks, right?
Shitty CGI sharks was the segue somehow.
The sharks in Sharknado actually look like real sharks, not plastic or rubber
That's
puppets.
Howard the Duck, anyway.
Yeah, like his actual face was really intriguing. Like I spent the whole film looking at it, like, how the fuck did they do that? Like, oh, he's made a shit quip, but he's just animatronic's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ducking good.
Oh, the only thing I never get about films, and that really gets me, is when they do like they get the actor or actress to play a guitar, but they don't know how to play a guitar, and they've never seen someone play a guitar, so they play it really weirdly, and I'm just like, please, no, stop. Like the main woman, she was playing the guitar, but she was just, ugh. No, it really gets me in films.
Yeah, Dan,
Like-
I think that's just you.
Yeah, because if you like when you watch Back to the Future, like you would have thought Michael J. Fox could actually play a guitar because he did the acting so well, but he can't.
Did you like the bit where she was acting like she was playing it with her teeth?
No,
Just playing it with her duck bill.
because it wasn't even near her face. That was the thing. When they cut to that shot when she pulls it round, it's like this far away from her face. I'm like, no, it's not.
Excuse me.
I mean, let's be fair, Dan. Most of the acting in this film wasn't good. So
I know.
so I doubt they would have took the time to, because like realistically speaking, I do agree with you in general. Like it's a prop at the end of the day, so they should be taught how to use it. Same as like you wouldn't have a martial arts film where the guy like is given a bow staff and doesn't know how to fucking use it. Like same kind of thing as that. But yeah, I wouldn't expect anything more from.
True. It was the 80s, and they kind of didn't really care about that kind of crap.
Fuck the 80s.
Yeah.
Don't start him off.
How would a Ducks and 80s film, Alec? That's why it's good.
And hit the nail on the head.
I don't think that's how that worked.
Yeah, it also wasn't good.
Yeah, stalemate, I think.
Touche.
Oh, cool. Do I win?
No, it's touche. It means fuck you. I couldn't win, and neither could you.
Because no one wins.
No one.
I'm pretty sure touche normally means that you can see that the other person has a very good point.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
That's exactly what it means.
Nah, shut up.
Uh,
You don't know Italian, and neither do I. And it's
Not
probably
even
not Italian.
So like douche.
Whoa!
I'm guessing.
Ben, I can't throw stones here, but you're fucking wasted.
Still not as bad as what you were like.
What?
Yeah,
All
Alex.
right, let's drink as you might like.
Not as bad as blah, blah, blah.
Alex, do you want to know where touche originated from?
No?
France.
France. Fucking French.
So yeah, it sounds like we've finished talking about this movie then.
Yeah.
Well, the host fucking fucked off. Oh, wait, no, I'm the host.
He,
You're the
Ooh.
hostess
he
with the
ducked off
mostess.
Ooh.
So who's picking anyway? Because I never remember to check.
Ah,
Hey,
oh, Patrick.
Did you say me, Ben?
No,
he
oh,
said
Patrick.
Patrick.
Oh, I thought you said my name, and I was like, no, I started the round.
Not all Pittman.
I also thought I heard Alec from someone.
Woo, touche.
We're not letting Alex pick another film like The Room.
I was gonna pick.
You're the only one who didn't like it, Pat.
Yeah,
It was fucking garbage.
yeah.
That's the fucking point.
It was
It was
more
right.
enjoyable than this movie.
To be honest with you, like The Room was garbage, but it wasn't the worst film this round.
Cool.
Yeah, it was Sharp Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, by distance.
I mean, no. Like,
Pat, you run out. You sound like you're in another room.
No problem.
he's got a
Probably 'cause-
yeah, no. Like, as much as I enjoyed The Room, it is objectively the worst film in this round.
Oh yeah. Sharp Boy and Lava Girl like actually managed to tell a story.
Yeah, like that's the thing.
It did that, but
It's bad, but it's still a movie.
Yeah. I think on a production, the production level is what sort of like just smushes that right fucking down. Whereas like the room got some tens, so
well, that's the thing. I think the thing with The Room, it become a cult classic type of thing. It was because it was so bad, it become a phenomenon as such. Whereas
Phenomenon.
Shotgun,
Do-do-do.
I think also it is the first film we've ever scored which has just got block ones for story, acting, and production from everybody. Like it is just 3 rows of red.
Do you know what's funny about this is if Rob kept his initial thing for Bad Movie Round and had it 20% and below, The Room wouldn't have made the cut.
Wow, that's
Only
really sad.
film- I think it's the only film that's been picked this round that wouldn't have made the cut.
Oh,
Judge Dredd also wouldn't have.
Was that more than 20?
It was like 23 or something like that. That's why, like, because we were talking about Judge Dredd at the time, and then Rob was like, "Oh yeah, so 20%," and I was like, that might be a problem."
Yeah, I can't even remember what.
My film has no problem.
What is your film, Patrick?
Well, I'm not saying just yet. Not everyone's hit it.
Who the fuck cares?
We're gonna wait.
Aw.
for them.
I don't know if Rob wants to say some more stuff about Howard the Duck.
I think purpose-wise, it was a lovely Howard the Duck movie.
How would you? You've literally never read a comic.
I've seen the covers. I think from the covers, and you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. However, I am going to,
Hmm.
because it's what they're for, really. The covers. You're meant to be able to judge.
Especially comic
You'd
books.
be into
Right?
it. So you should absolutely judge a book by its cover. Really, it's a stupid saying. But I think judging by the covers, as a purpose, this was quite good because it had everything. It had him being a spiky bachelor anthropomorphic duck. It had fucking. It had
Mhm.
crazy otherworldly beings from Dimension X. What more do you need? I think it's a purpose pretty fucking good. Howard the Duck. Jokes could have been funnier. Tim Robbins could have been better. A lot of people could have been better actually. The music was silly.
If we ever need to fill time in the future, I don't think we should let Alec be the one to do it.
Well, at least I say something. That wasn't a dig at you. You also say
Dig at-
things.
It was a dig at me and Ben.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you had to fucking drag that up as well. You're like, oh, shit. I don't actually need to burp.
Ben's absolutely
That's,
pissed.
that's Alec for fuck off.
No, Alec for fuck off is just what he's doing now.
Oh.
Alex fuck off is just like 20 minutes of abuse.
But yeah,
Anyone want to? Oh, sorry.
well, no, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, it's up to you.
Howard the Duck. Get a fucking theme tune as well.
And-
Little one.
John was trying to say something.
I don't care. Hopefully.
So you want to know my film?
I know what your film is, so.
No, not talking about you.
Fuck's sake. Let John say the thing he wanted to say.
Oh, literally, I was just gonna say I don't see a problem with us moving on to talking about what the next film is, because I imagine Rob is dealing with stuff with Rachel, so we don't know how long he might be, and if he wants to say stuff when he gets back, that's fine.
Sure. Right, Pat, say your film.
The film is End of Days.
End of it.
I heard of it.
It's an Arnie film. It's on Disney Plus.
Oh,
It's Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's just a movie.
did you say it was an Arnie film?
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's like an 80s Arnie's film where there's like 1,000,001 one-liners.
There's loads of one-liners. It's in the 90s.
That's close enough.
It's
Like,
good.
I hope it's one of those ones that's like where he stabs the guy through the chest and then steam comes out of it and he's like, blow off some steam, Bennett.
Not quite.
It's actually quite a serious film for Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think it was one of his last.
Boring.
Yeah. It's good.
Ah,
I really
yeah,
like the film.
he had loads of films after this one.
Did he?
It's still pretty silly.
Did he still make more?
I think he was active for another 5 or 6 years after this film, before he became the governor.
I mean,
Yeah, Terminator 3 was the last one.
he's
Oh.
also acted since then. Like,
Oh, he's back.
Sorry about that, guys. What did I miss?
I just announced my film.
Oh, blimey.
We talked about Sharknado, and then for some reason, and then we talked about The Room for a bit, and then I said about Howard the Duck being a pretty good Howard the Duck movie. and then John complained, and then Humphrey just started griefing John really benignly,
What?
and then everyone just got bored, assumed you were doing something else and weren't coming back soon, and then Pat talked about he announced his movie, and then we talked about Arnold Schwarzenegger films, and I wasn't really paying attention after that.
Would you like to know what my film is?
Is it End of Days?
You might be right.
God, how did he know?
It's not like I knew anyway.
No.
I actually said it earlier on. No.
Rob.
Yeah?
Just for clarity, to add on to what Alex said, what literally happened is I went, so what's your movie? And everyone was like, but Rob's not here. And then I was like, I mean, we can wait if you want, but he might be dealing with Rachel, so I feel like we could just move on. Then, like, if he wants to say stuff when he gets back, we can go back to it. Like, it's not a problem.
That's all right. If we're done, it's fine.
No, I mean, no, like genuinely, if you've got more stuff to talk about, I'm like not going to be like, no, we're done, we've moved on.
No, it's all right. Honestly, like, yeah, it's all right.
This was a short one.
It's probably the shortest yet.
He was a duck.
Damn.
Oh,
2? Anyone?
But
I said, what was he? 3'2"?
Oh, something like that. Yeah.
sure.
I mean, all I remember is there's a scene where they're like, it was either they said 3'1" or they said 3'3", and then he was like, oh, it's 3'2" or 4 actually.
3'2" sounds right, but I'd have to consult the film.
Oh, something I did want to say. I did enjoy that he was a master of quack fu, and apparently to be a master of quack fu, that includes hitting people with bin lids and hitting them in the knee with a stick. I thought that was rather fun.
you could say he was a bad mother ducker.
You could, but you shouldn't.
Your nonce joke was better.
I think if anything comes from us watching Howard the Duck, what I would like it to be is that in the future, when Humphrey hasn't watched a film, I'd like him to say, I've been doing too much toot.
I mean,
I'd have to memorize that, and that's going to be a song.
I'd
have to memorise 7 words.
It's oh dear.
I'd just like to say that the sentence "your nonce joke was better" is not what I want to hear again, to be honest.
What non-stroke was it? The one where I went diddle diddle diddle.
That when we recorded this.
You've never made me feel so uncomfortable, Pat.
I mean, that's what diddling does to you.
Like every time you say it, I'm like in my mind going, you can't say that. You can't say that.
You're never going to be able to play Mario in the same way anymore, are you?
Yeah, because everyone's been doing that.
I hope that makes Rob's cut on YouTube.
I think he's going to have to cut those jokes out.
Well, he's going to bleep it.
To be fair, I am still recording.
Yeah, that's what I said. You can't say that.
Of course you can.
Do like a black screen.
If I can't remember if I told you guys at the time, but one of the women I worked with at the pharmacy, I can't remember what context she used the word diddle in, but she said diddle, and I was like, you can't say that. She was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, do you not know the meaning of that? Like, I'm sure whatever way she was using it is also a use for it, but I explained it to her and she was like, oh no, I've never heard that before. I was like, right, but just so you know, every time you use that word, I'm into my mind.
Like diddling someone out of money.